Most people live their entire lives chasing noise, the noise of opinions, judgments, competition, and comparison. They're constantly looking around, measuring themselves against others, waiting for approval, validation, or applause. But those who truly rise above, those who become untouchable, understand one foundational truth. Growth begins when the focus shifts inward. The world doesn't change when you chase it, changes when you outgrow it. And you outgrow it by doing one thing consistently, focusing on yourself. Focusing on yourself is not selfish. It is survival. It is transformation. It is the declaration that your energy, your time, and your mind are sacred ground, not a public playground for distractions and drama. When you shift your energy from watching others to building yourself, something inside you begins to unlock. You stop seeking validation and start seeking purpose. You stop reacting and start creating. You stop surviving and start evolving. This world will constantly tempt you to spread your focus thin. It will throw trending topics, opinions, failures, and fake applause in your path just to pull you away from your path. But those who win don't look around. They look within. They don't chase attention. They chase mastery. And that mastery is not found in applause. It's found in discipline, in consistency, and in obsession with becoming better than who you were yesterday. It doesn't matter how many people are ahead of you. It doesn't matter who is watching, who's winning, or who's doubting you. The truth is, none of that is relevant. The only thing that matters is this. Are you becoming the version of yourself that your potential demands? Are you choosing to grow in silence or decay in distraction? Because that choice, every single day, is what separates those who shock the world from those who get lost in it. When you begin to focus on yourself, something radical happens. You stop explaining yourself. You stop chasing people who don't understand you. You stop lowering your standards to fit into places that were never meant for your growth. You start elevating in silence. You start setting boundaries. You start saying no to anything that pulls you away from your purpose, not because you're arrogant, but because you finally realize your time is limited and your energy is sacred. The world isn't waiting for your excuses. It's waiting for your evolution. And evolution only happens when you stop looking for someone else to fix you, save you, or guide you. No one's coming to hand you greatness. No one's coming to build your dreams for you. It's your job, and the only way to do it is to focus on yourself with brutal honesty and unwavering consistency. There's a storm inside you, a storm of potential, of ambition, of hunger, but it stays silent when your attention is scattered. You can't hear your own voice if you're constantly tuning into the noise of others. Focus is the amplifier of power. And when you turn that focus inward, you begin to operate from a place of truth. You begin to sharpen your mind, strengthen your discipline, and anchor your identity not in what people think of you, but in what you are building in silence. Every moment you spend doubting yourself because of what someone else is doing is a moment stolen from your own greatness. Your journey doesn't require their permission. Your transformation doesn't need their applause. All it needs is your focus, your absolute, relentless, laser-sharp focus on who you are becoming. Let them watch, let them wonder, let them talk, but don't let them distract you. Because when you focus on yourself long enough, deeply enough, and consistently enough, the day will come when the world will no longer be able to ignore you. And when that day comes, you won't need to explain how you did it. Growth will speak for itself. Your silence will echo louder than their noise. Your transformation will be the answer to every doubt, every insult, every delay. But it all begins here with focus, relentless, personal, unapologetic focus. Most people don't even realize how much of their life has been spent in distraction, scrolling through the lives of others, reacting to things that don't matter, trying to be seen instead of trying to evolve. But the truth is, the world doesn't need more people chasing attention. It needs more people chasing excellence. Focusing inward means you choose self-awareness over comparison. You ask yourself hard questions. Who am I becoming? What am I feeding my mind every day? What habits am I cultivating in silence when no one is watching? Most people are reactive, not reflective. They wake up and live based on whatever noise comes from outside. But when you begin to focus inward, you stop being a puppet of the world, and you become the architect of your mind. This internal shift is not glamorous. It won't win you applause in the beginning, It's quiet, often uncomfortable, but it's the soil where greatness grows. The truth is, if you keep watering distractions, you will starve your destiny. Focus is a muscle, and the more you train it, the stronger it becomes. That's how you shock the world, not by shouting, but by sharpening your focus until your growth becomes impossible to ignore. You've been taught to believe that focusing on yourself is selfish, but let me tell you, it's the most necessary act of power in a world designed to distract you. People who don't understand growth will always call discipline arrogance. They'll call solitude loneliness. But those are the voices of those who gave up on themselves. When you decide to prioritize your peace, protect your energy, and focus on your personal evolution, you're not abandoning people, you're reclaiming yourself. You can't pour from an empty soul. You can't lead from a broken mind. When you focus on yourself, you begin to recharge your mental battery, reconnect with your values, and reset your direction. And the more you do it, the more people will question you, not because you're wrong, but because your elevation is reminding them of their stagnation. Let them. You don't owe anyone an explanation for choosing yourself, because the truth is, no one else is responsible for your life, your legacy, or your level. You can either continue explaining your decisions to people who don't get it, or you can evolve in silence and let your growth make the noise. Focus is your lifeline. Use it. Every time you check what someone else is doing, achieving, posting, or becoming, you're pulling your focus away from what you should be building. Your energy is your currency, and where you spend it determines what you'll become. If you spend it on gossip, comparison, or meaningless opinions, don't be surprised when your life doesn't grow. But if you spend it sharpening your craft, mastering your emotions, and feeding your mind with power, then evolution becomes inevitable. You have to get honest with yourself. How much of your mental real estate is occupied by other people? How often do you look outward instead of inward? Focusing on others is easy. It requires no accountability, no effort, no risk. But building yourself, that requires courage. And that's why most people don't do it. They'd rather watch the highlight reels of others than suffer through the quiet grind of their own potential. Don't fall into that trap. Decide today that you will no longer spend your energy watching, waiting, or wondering. You're not here to observe greatness, you're here to become it. And the only way to do that is by focusing 100% on your own lane. That's not ego, that's alignment. The most powerful transformations never happen in front of a crowd. They happen behind closed doors in quiet hours, in the solitude that most people run from. Isolation is not emptiness, it is refinement. It is where you confront the raw, unfiltered version of yourself, your weaknesses, your wounds, your limiting beliefs, and begin to rebuild yourself from the inside out. This is the place where self-mastery begins, not in the spotlight, not on a stage, but in the silent battles no one else will ever see. When you embrace isolation, you stop depending on external motivation. You start becoming internally driven. You begin to understand your own patterns, discipline your emotions, and harden your willpower. And the more you do that, the more dangerous you become to everything that ever tried to break you. The truth is, most people are afraid of being alone because they're not at peace with themselves. But those who master solitude become unstoppable. Because once you become enough for yourself, once you stop needing noise, company, or approval to feel whole, no one can take your power away. Build yourself when no one is clapping. That's the foundation of unshakable strength. There is no faster way to kill your purpose than to constantly compare yourself to someone else. Comparison steals your peace, blurs your vision, and makes you believe that someone else's path should look like yours. But it doesn't. It can't. Your journey is unique because your calling is different. Your timeline is different. Your lessons, your pain, your breakthroughs, they are tailored for your evolution. When you compare yourself to others, you stop honoring your own story. You start trying to fit into someone else's blueprint, and in doing so, you lose yourself. The truth is, the world doesn't need another copy of someone else. It needs the most authentic version of you. And that version can only be revealed when you stop measuring your value by someone else's progress. Focus on your growth. Celebrate your small wins. Respect your own pace. Because when you finally realize that comparison is a distraction, you free up the mental energy to double down on what actually matters, becoming your best self. The only competition that matters is the one between who you are and who you have the potential to become. That's the only race worth running. Greatness doesn't announce itself. It doesn't seek attention, followers, or applause. It grows in the dark, where no one's watching, where no one believes in you, where only your vision keeps you going. That's where the real work happens. In the late nights when you're tired, but keep going anyway. In the early mornings when you show up without motivation. In the silent hours where no one sees your effort, your struggle, your consistency. This is the grind that no one claps for. And that's exactly why it matters. Because when you build in the shadows, you become unshakable in the spotlight. You don't need to fake strength. You've earned it. You don't need to prove anything. Your results do it for you. Most people want to be seen before they're ready. But those who shock the world are the ones who prepare in silence and let their evolution speak louder than their words ever could. Don't post your progress. Protect it. Don't beg for recognition. Build in such a way that ignoring you becomes impossible. What you build in private will eventually redefine who you are in public. But first, master the shadows. Desire is emotional. It burns bright for a moment, then fades into smoke. Discipline, on the other hand, is grounded. It's built on decision, not mood, not motivation, not convenience. If you want to build something that lasts, if you want to truly shock the world with your transformation, you must choose discipline every time desire tries to distract you. Or desire whispers, "Rest today, you deserve it." Discipline replies, "Not until the mission is complete." Desire says, "You've done enough." Discipline answers, "Not yet, there's more in you." That's the difference between those who rise and those who repeat. One operates based on how they feel. The other operates based on what they've committed to. You see, feelings come and go. They're unreliable. They shift with the weather, the mood, the opinions of others. But discipline doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't need to feel good to do what's necessary. It shows up when you don't feel like it. It trains when the world sleeps. It writes, builds, learns, lifts, creates, even when no one is watching. That's how you separate yourself. That's how you build a version of yourself that isn't shaken by failure or discouraged by delay. The greatest advantage you can give yourself isn't talent, opportunity, or even intelligence. It's the ability to stay consistent, to do the hard, boring, unglamorous work long after the excitement has faded. That's what discipline is. It's your refusal to break your promise to yourself. And when you operate from that level of commitment, the world starts to shift. Not because you begged for change, but because you became the kind of person who demanded it through your actions. Discipline sharpens your character. It builds trust within yourself. It becomes the internal engine that outpaces every excuse, every distraction, every setback. And the moment you choose discipline over desire, not once but every day, you become dangerous. Because you're no longer led by what you want in the moment. You're led by what you're becoming for life. The world celebrates the results, the awards, the applause, the recognition. But what they don't see, what they can't measure, is the invisible work behind it all. The nights you stayed disciplined when no one noticed. The hours of study, practice, repetition, and self-correction when no one clapped. The battles with your own doubts, the silence of being unseen, and the frustration of delayed rewards. That's the real work. And that's what pays the highest. Not in money, not even in status, but in transformation. You don't become great because people admire you. You become great because you earned your own respect. Invisible work is spiritual. It's the process of rising in private before the world sees your evolution. It's the pain of pushing through resistance when no one's cheering for you. And it's where most people quit, because it doesn't feel rewarding at first. There's no external proof of progress. There's no instant gratification. But this is where the difference is made, because what you build in silence becomes the foundation for everything you'll reveal in the future. When you put in the invisible work, day after day, you're not just working on the task, you're working on your identity. This is the grind most people never see, and that's why they can't copy it. It's not on social media. It's not in motivational quotes. It's in the quiet mornings when you choose focus over comfort. It's in the decisions you make when no one's around to praise you. You're not just developing skill, you're building mental armor. The invisible work makes you resilient, disciplined, and deeply grounded. And when the spotlight finally hits you, you don't crack, you don't fold, you don't stumble, because you know the truth. You were already that person in the dark. Let the world sleep on you. Let them doubt you. Because when you commit to the invisible work, there will come a time when they'll have no choice but to pay attention. Not because you told them to, but because your results made silence impossible. There is no power greater than a person who knows themselves, truly, deeply, unapologetically. When you become obsessively self-aware, you stop living on autopilot. You stop blaming the world for your results. You stop lying to yourself. Because now you've entered a level of personal truth most people spend their whole lives avoiding. You see your patterns, your fears, your triggers, your weaknesses, not to shame yourself, but to upgrade yourself. Self-awareness is not about judgment. It's about ownership. And the moment you own who you really are, flaws, fears, potential, and all, you become a force the world cannot manipulate. Most people avoid self-awareness because it demands accountability. It forces you to admit that maybe your habits are the problem, that maybe your ego is in the way, that maybe your comfort zone is killing your greatness. And so they distract themselves with noise, but the ones who rise, the ones who truly shock the world, are the ones who dig into their own minds with surgical precision. They ask hard questions daily. Why do I react this way? What am I avoiding? What belief is holding me back? Because every answer peels away another layer of weakness and reveals another level of strength. You know yourself deeply. No one can use you against you. No insult shakes you because you've already faced those voices within. No failure defines you because your identity isn't built on perfection. It's built on awareness and growth. You no longer need validation because you trust your own judgment. That's power. That's clarity. And that's rare. Start journaling your thoughts. Watch your emotions. Pay attention to your reactions. Track your choices like your life depends on it, because it does. The greatest asset you'll ever have is a mind that sees itself clearly. When you become obsessively self-aware, you stop being a prisoner of your patterns, and you become the designer of your destiny. That's how you separate yourself, not just through work, but through awareness of who you are becoming and ruthless commitment to becoming better every single day. Pain is the teacher no one wants, but everyone needs. It doesn't speak with comfort. It speaks with fire. And if you're willing to face it instead of running from it, it can become your greatest weapon. Most people try to numb it, bury it, avoid it. But the truth is, whatever you don't face will control you. And whatever you do face, that's what transforms you. Pain reveals what comfort conceals. It shows you who you are beneath the surface. It shatters illusions. It humbles the ego. And more than anything, it awakens the part of you that's been sleeping, the warrior. You see, pain has a purpose, but only if you refuse to waste it. Every scar carries a lesson. Every setback holds a blueprint. Every heartbreak, betrayal, and loss is packed with raw, untapped energy. And if you use it right, it will sharpen your focus, deepen your hunger, and build a version of you that's forged in resilience, not regret. You don't grow by avoiding pain. You grow by absorbing its lessons and transmuting its energy into strength. It's not what hurt you that defines you. It's what you decide to build from it. There will be moments in your life where everything seems to fall apart, where people leave, where dreams crash, where your confidence shatters. Good. That's your moment. That's your fire. Because in that fire, everything that is weak will burn away and everything that is strong will survive. That's how diamonds are made. That's how warriors are born. Not through comfort, but through confrontation, with reality, with failure, with pain. So the next time life hits you, don't ask, why me? Ask, what am I being prepared for? Take that pain and turn it into a blueprint. Turn it into fuel. Use it to sharpen your vision, fortify your discipline, and rebuild your mindset brick by brick. You don't get to choose your pain, but you do get to choose what it becomes. Let it become your foundation. Let it become your weapon. Let it become the proof that nothing can break you, only build you. There's a sacred kind of power in silence, in building without broadcasting, in evolving without explaining. Most people can't resist the urge to tell the world what they're planning, but the truly focused don't talk, they execute. They don't explain what they're working on because they're too busy working. Announcements feel good, but they don't create results. Silence, discipline, and consistent action. That's what builds legacies. The world doesn't need to know your every move. Let them see the finished product. Let them feel the shock wave after you rise. The loudest one in the room is rarely the strongest. In fact, the more noise you make, the more vulnerable you become to distraction and doubt. When you speak too soon, you invite pressure that isn't necessary. You open the door for people's opinions, resistance, and expectations, and most of that does nothing but cloud your path. But when you stay silent, not out of fear, but out of focus, you keep your energy protected. You build in peace. You refine your craft without the need for approval. That's not weakness, that's wisdom. Every second spent trying to convince others is a second stolen from building yourself. Real power doesn't announce its presence. It moves strategically. It appears suddenly unshakable and undeniable. You don't owe the world explanations. You don't have to justify your silence. You don't have to post your progress to prove it's real. Let your growth be your statement. Let your transformation be your response to every critic, every doubter, every person who overlooked you. This is how you shock the world, by becoming someone they never saw coming. While they were busy watching, judging, and talking, you were working quietly, ruthlessly, relentlessly. And when you finally rise, there's no need to speak. Your presence will say everything. Your results will answer every question. And your silence, the same silence they mocked, will echo louder than any announcement ever could. The greatest revenge is not loud. It doesn't come through arguments, explanations, or even confrontation. The greatest revenge is excellence, undeniable, unshakable, relentless excellence. You don't need to raise your voice. You don't need to justify your past. You don't need to beg for recognition. When you become excellent at what you do, the world cannot ignore you. Excellence is louder than drama. It outlasts hate. It silences doubt. And it puts an end to every question that was ever asked about your worth. You see, the world will try to put you in a box. It will underestimate you, define you by your past, label you according to your failures. But when you commit to mastery, when you decide to sharpen yourself until your name becomes a statement, the box breaks. People don't understand silence. They don't understand focus. But they understand results. And when your results start speaking, the same people who dismissed you will be forced to listen. Not because you tried to impress them, but because your excellence made silence impossible. But here's the truth. Excellence doesn't happen by accident. It's not gifted, it's built, day by day, in private. Through repetition, discipline, correction, sacrifice. It means raising your standard when no one else does. It means doing the extra when everyone else stops at average. It means being willing to be misunderstood, doubted, and even mocked, and using it all as fuel. Because you're not here to fit in. You're here to stand out. So don't aim to get even. Aim to become so focused, so refined, so unreasonably excellent that your very existence becomes a disruption. Shock them not with your words, but with your transformation. Shock them not by reacting, but by rising. Rise beyond expectations. Rise beyond limitations. Rise beyond your past. And when you do, you'll understand this truth. You never needed to prove anything to anyone. You only ever needed to become everything you were meant to be. Focus on yourself and let your excellence do the talking.